move to our second topic, probably to touch on the most important bit too, is the story about the Cuban doctors who are said to be jetting into the country in about a week's time, following the agreement between the Kenyan government and the Cuban government in Havana when President Kenyatta went there following the handshake. And according to the agreement, this was meant, to ease medical services for the Kenyan people and to address the problems that are currently witnessed in our hospitals. But apparently, these doctors have asked for a monthly pay of 800,000 Kenya shillings. That is the shocking part. Take us through. Andrew.
My view is I don't really support the move by the government to bring in Cuban doctors.
Okay.
In as much as the government is trying to find a relationship between the Kenyan government and the Cuban government, it is wise to have done more in the country. We have so many doctors who are unemployed. We have so many doctors who have not received their salaries as they expected. We have so many doctors who have not, have not been upgraded in terms of remuneration. And the government should think critically about it. I have had the Secretary General of the Doctors Union claim that, put it clearly that what they want is an environment that is similar to that of the Cuban government or the health sector, rather than having Cuban doctors into the country. And also, I think the government is doing that to it's a cosmetic, step, just to show people that we are trying to do a few things to ensure that our health sector is well taken care of. But I'm wondering why the government should pay 800,000 to a single doctor when we have over 10,000 who have not been employed. This could be put into parts for several doctors, and that would help in several hospitals around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Patrick, it appears that we are witnessing a situation of overstepping our own doctors. We have more than 12,000 doctors in the country. Only slightly above 7,000 are active, meaning that more than 4,000, around 800 doctors have no jobs in the country. Why go overboard and seek the services of other doctors who will come with hefty price, hefty salaries, hefty, housing, logistics, which are all to be paid by the taxpayer?
Let me start by telling you what I mentioned earlier. We in Kenya have this notion of that our own is not good. Look at the cases of teachers. Sometimes back, our teachers were asking for salaries. All the parents in all over, across board, they were shown that your teachers are the biggest enemies of you. Why? Just because the teacher is asking for better remuneration. You ask someone, can't you enjoy, can't you be proud of your kid being a teacher paid well? When you come to that, everyone keeps quiet. Now look here. We got doctors, we got facilities, we got hospitals, we got name it, we got cash, which can be used to import machinery and all the workabilities and whatever is required by the doctors. My question is, does the Cuban doctor come to Kenya to administer an injection through osmosis? The way my doctors here cannot do. What is that special our people, the Cuban doctors are coming to do? And that is why you see, even in the infrastructure, we are importing in Chinese instead of building our own contractors and engineers here. Why do we hate ourselves that much? What is going on in Kenya today? That's my question. We got very highly qualified doctors here. But once machinery is imported to the country, there are no facilities. It is corrupted and diverted to other facilities. Why is this? One thing, corruption in our country is the biggest cancer. And because the visitor here will not clamor for corruption, he will work for what and with what he gets on the table. I don't think he will have time to say we don't have this, we don't have that, and in case it lacks, he has no time to, or even the mandate to go on the streets and do the demonstration we see around. This is how I see it. That the government is trying to take advantage of our own doctors to facilitate their own interests, but not the interests of the people. Yeah.
I'll come to you, Andrew. Denning, mathematically, if all of them will be paid 800,000 Kenya shillings, only the salaries will amount to 80 million Kenya shillings. Add that to the housing, the logistics, which have to be paid by the county, because the deal was signed between two national governments, but again, the county government will cater for the housing, the logistics, and other services, which are not accorded to our own doctors here in the country. Then it likely looks a case of neglect by the national government to under-acknowledge, to underrate, to underscore our own doctors, because on annual basis, we produce more than 250 pharmacists. And it appears that since the doctors' strike last year, the government support towards our own medical practitioners has dwindled, and we are now overlooking them. The government is overlooking them. This is a case of neglect, is it?
It is, of course, and the neglect comes from both players, or rather all players in the medical sector, because when you look at it very well, the only thing that KAMPDU has done is to complain. However, we haven't seen a stringent action being taken in regards to the move by the government to bring in Cuban doctors. If at all the union of the doctors were serious about this issue, they would have staged even a strike or a go slow in regards to such a move. But as we can see right now, they just complained, and then later on they gave us figures on how many numbers of surgeons we have, practicing doctors, interns, and all that. That's the best they could do.
Is it then a case of self-sabotage?
Of course. As we stated here last week, the union by the doctors is among the groups which are helping to sabotage this. Because if at all they were serious, as I've put it, a very clear action should have been taken to ensure that these doctors do not come. Or if at all, they negotiate of another move, which is, it's better to take our own Kenyan doctors, take them to Cuba, teach them those skills, let them come back here and teach the same to our people. But you see here, Cuban doctors are coming on a contract. Once their contract is done, they will go back. And you see, now government right now is trying to play safe by bringing in the discussion of no Cuban doctor will earn the salary, more than the salaries that have been set out by SRC. Of course, that is a lie, because you see, what goes around is the true information. These people are going to earn millions of shillings in excess. And this is really not good, because we have very many unemployed doctors. We have young people who are still in school. They are watching what is happening. And if this is going to be the narrative that someone goes through school, he cannot secure employment in his own country, then we are going down a slope which we can never save ourselves from.